Hello everyone, we're back with part 2 of our most improved Coromon, backed by semi-popular demand. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe. We're almost to 500 subs, so I appreciate the support. We have some baby mons to talk about and some other underrated mons, so let's go ahead and jump in. Let's start our list off with our first baby Coromon, Slitherpin, who is the pre-evolved form of Krypeek and has a really great ability in Spike Body++, which means Coromon that make physical contact with Slitherpin will lose 35% of its max HP. We also recommend running this set with the Rock, which is going to do an additional 15% damage to those who make physical contact, for a total of 50% damage to physical attackers who make contact with Slitherpin. That amount of damage is absolutely wild, and that doesn't even take into account the other utility items, or skills I should say, that Slitherpin is able to use in a match to further support your team. One of the most useful skills that Krypeek and Slitherpin have is going to be Spike Trap. You should be familiar with Spike Trap based off our other videos, but if you're not, Spike Trap is an entry hazard that can be stacked up to 3 times. The first layer is going to do 12% damage to all grounded Coromon, the second layer does 18% to all grounded Coromon, and the third layer does 24% damage to all Coromon, even those who are floating or flying. Overall, Slitherpin gives you a lot of utility. It has a great typing in normal. The spread with 60 HP, 60 defense is also relatively bulky as well. You're doing 50% chip damage to any physical attacker, and you're getting the best hazard in the game with decent speed as well. It's a really great Coromon. Definitely try it out, and as you can see in the clips I've been showing, that chip damage is really no joke. I will mention that you can run Krypeek if you want to have a little bit more special defense and special attack. Not really as useful for special attack, but if you do want to be overall a little bit bulkier, if you want to be faster, definitely recommend checking out Krypeek with the same kind of set. You can probably drop Zen Cure for more coverage if you want to, for like Last Stand for example. But overall, both are really good normal types that get a lot of chip damage and a lot of utility, and we recommend trying them out. Next on our list is my original favorite Coromon, Dugterra, who's gotten a lot of new tools in terms of enhanced traits, new items, and stat buffs, and I'm really excited to talk more about why this Coromon is one of the most improved Coromon going to our new update. The first thing to mention is the item that Dugterra is running for this set, which is the Enhancer Gem, which in this case allows a fully evolved Coromon to have an enhanced trait, which is typically only going to be available for non-fully evolved Coromon. The trait that we're using is called Escapist Plus, and this means the Coromon's speed is always increased by 1 stage, and it cannot be trapped, which basically means that Dugterra is running a Choice Scarf with the option to switch moves, and it has great mixed attacking stats. You can run Dugterra either physically based or specially based, but either way you're typically going to run 60 speed and then 60 attack or 60 special attack. The 4 moves that we recommend are Crunch, Poison Chomp, Illusion Slice, and Meteor Shower, which gives you good special and physical coverage for this meta. There has been a pretty major change to Meteor Shower, or dropping a Draco as I like to call it, in that the user is damaged by 10% of its max HP each time it uses the move. So there's some recoil, still a really great move, really great Coromon to use because of that, but just wanted to note that that change has happened with the update. If you're in need for a solid revenge killer or a great mixed attacker, Dugterra is definitely a Coromon you want to consider on your team. I would imagine that it competes with things like Ecliptor for a slot on your team in terms of being a fast mixed attacker. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about building out your team. A lot of teams also have Malevite, so if you want to go double sand, probably Malevite and Dugterra. So as you're thinking about your team, just keep in mind this is a really great revenge killer and or a really great mixed attacker as well. Oh, and before I forget, Dugterra has benefited from a stat buff, which is really cool. Its speed's gone from 142 to 166, so it's already faster just at baseline and has access to that enhanced trait. So I wanted to name that before we move on to our next Coromon. So this next Coromon I was not familiar with at all before Rose recommended that I try out this Coromon and feature it in another video, and that's Gelaquad, who I think Pepe is a big fan of. If it's not Pepe, definitely leave a comment for whoever that is, but Gelaquad's really good with the Pistostone. It's also gotten some stat buffs, and it also has a really good move pool and ability, and I'm really excited to talk more about it. Our main attacking move is going to be Hydro Punch, which is a 99 base power attack. and it has a 15% chance to knock the opponent down, which is pretty awesome. We also have some other pretty useful moves like Sting, which is an electric attack with 60 base power and has a 25% chance to cause a shock, which is really cool. Scrolling down, we also have Stone Fist, which is 65 base power, but it's going to be doubled in power if you take damage on the round you use it. And the last move that we have here is going to be Smackdown, which the higher the target HP, the more powerful the Smackdown will be, and this is a heavy type move. Gelaquad does see a stat boost as we go from the main branch to the beta. It's a 24 point change, and all of that change will be seen in your speed stat, going from 164 to 188. With great coverage, an increased attack stat, and the Pistostone, and decent typing, Gelaquad's a pretty good breaker for your team. I'm not sure it's fast enough to be like a sweeper, but if you're going up against a slower, bulkier team and it's chipped down, you can definitely spam Hydro Punch as well. I do want to note that Hydro Punch is going to be increased in power if you're running it in rain, so this may be an alternative to Darikar in the rain, although Darikar is probably a little bit more effective. But overall, as a breaker, Gelaquad is really good, really improved, and a Coromon that you should consider trying out on your squad. Alright, let's get back to our baby mons. Our next baby mon to talk about is Arcta, which I'm very surprised I'm talking about because Arcturus wasn't that good to begin with, but Arcturus and Arcta are both really good. It's a combination of enhanced traits, a really good item, and just the right amount of move pool to make both of these Coromon very viable. The set we're recommending and the variations of that set apply to both Arcturus and Arcta, but basically you want to run 60 HP, 60 special defense, and then you want to either run the Pekastone, and with the Pekastone your moveset will be Crystal Beam, which is going to be your stab. You also have Body Blast, which is a pretty decent heavy move that you can use, Dirty Snow, which is there to make your opponent hazy, and then Faint Spurts, the water version, for some additional coverage. If you opt to drop the Pekastone and instead run the Enhancer Gem, you may want to drop something like Faint Spurts or Dirty Snow for, I think it's Ice Nails is the ice type hazard. Probably not recommended, but just giving you a heads up of the different movesets that you can run here. We are strongly recommending that you run Magic Layer or Magic Layer Plus in the case of Arcta. And because of its magic aura, the Coromon reduces special damage taken by 35% and increases special damage dealt by 30%, which is absolutely wild and a big reason why Arcta and Arcturus are two very, very viable special attacking and special tanking Coromon in the new meta/beta. Arcturus did see some stat buffs, 25 total stat changes. You're going to see actually all of that come from your HP going from 141 to 166, so continuing to make both of these Coromon more viable as they're taking special hits and dealing damage back out. The stat difference between Arcta and Arcturus is going to be you have less HP, attack, speed, and defense, but the addition of Magic Layer Plus for Arcta I think outweighs those detriments, especially in the case of HP. You are losing a little bit of HP there, but you are gaining a lot in terms of how much damage you are receiving and taking. Just for the record, excuse me, Magic Layer is going to reduce damage taken by 15% and damage dealt by 30%, and Magic Layer Plus is going to reduce special damage by 35% and increase special damage dealt by 30%, so a pretty big change there, and a major reason why we're recommending Arcta over Arcturus. When Coromon first released and we got to competitive play, the go-to electric type was Toravolt, the second go-to was in Rhino Buzz, but finally Hountrion has its day in the sun with an expanded move pool and a new item to really benefit it. It's definitely one of the most improved Coromon we're seeing in the beta so far. We are recommending a Pistostone set, so we'll have max attack, max speed for this set, with Ball of Darkness that is special but gives you pretty good coverage, Fast Strike for priority, Poison Chomp for some coverage, and Power Talons as your main attacking proficiency move for this set. With Hountrion's move pool, high base attack, and pretty good base speed, it's a really good wall breaker to have on your team, and a very good alternative to things like Toravolt and Rhino Buzz if you do want that physical electric attacker, want something that can resist water moves as well. and I think is a really good and improved Coromon. It also has the ability Menacing, which is going to decrease your opponent's attack when it enters the field. So also a pretty good option. And the reason why I'm highlighting it is because there aren't too many electric types that we see in the beta right now. So definitely consider giving Hountrion a try. Similar to other Coromon on this list, Hountrion also benefited from stat buffs. Its attack went from 188 to 218, which is really solid, and defense went from 98 to 107. Also, HP went up from 162 to 167, so it's hitting harder and taking hits better, which is a really great improvement for this mon, and only adds to the reasons as to why you should try it out on your team. This last Coromon, it pains me to feature it on the channel. It's my least favorite Coromon line in the game. It's my least favorite Coromon in general, but it's really good, and I want to give everyone an opportunity to use the best Coromon that there are. Unfortunately, that means we're talking about Krypeek, and it'll be our final Coromon for this video. The set we're recommending for Krypeek is going to be a special wall with max HP, max special defense. We have Ice Wall, which is a really cool move. It puts up an Ice Wall, and for 3 turns, any Coromon that would make physical contact get frozen, which is really cool. Ice Flurry is a multi-hit Ice type proficiency move. Intensifies, I think I said that correctly, is going to heal you up. I think it's like 10%. I'm actually going to check really quickly. Yeah, actually 15%, and raises your special defense by 1 stage. And then Smackdown is a heavy move that does more damage the more HP that you have. We're not recommending to use Krybeast on this set, and the main reason is because as you go down to Krypeek, all you lose is 40 attack, which you're not really using that much, and you lose 23 special attack. But we do think that the added benefit of the Shiny Plus Plus trait outweighs the negatives of those stat changes, so we highly recommend using Krypeek, although you could use Krybeast and you could use the Enhancer Gem if you chose to. Unsurprisingly, because it's no one's favorite Coromon except for maybe Rose or some other people that I'm not familiar with, there are no stat changes for Krybeast. So the only stat changes we're going to see are those going from Krybeast to Krypeek, and as we mentioned, not a huge change, but although I don't like this Coromon or the Coromon line in terms of how they look, they are really effective in terms of tanking special hits, especially from Glamoth. So definitely consider this mon if you're looking for something to tank some special hits and support your team with some freezes as well. And that will wrap up our most improved Coromon part 2. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. We're almost to 500 subs, so again, I really appreciate the support, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye everyone.